Alright guys, welcome to the video today, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Voidwalker subclass in Destiny 2 and how I feel like it's not too strong right now. I feel like it could definitely use some buffs coming up in the future. You know, if you haven't been killed by a Nova Bomb in a really long time, congratulations, you can join the rest of us in the club because no one really runs this subclass anymore. So I want to discuss a few of the things that I think that should be buffed. And yeah, let's get right into it. The first thing on the list is the super, because the Nova Bomb, at least for the Devour tree, it has like no armor whatsoever, and all the other supers in the game, most of them at least, they're roaming supers, and they have way more armor than they probably should have, and they're super good. And then you have the Nova Bomb, which is a panic super that has like no armor, which means that it's really easy to kill it, and the animation is pretty long. So usually if you do it right in front of someone, you end up dying. Like pretty much people who've played Nova Bomb kind of know what I'm talking about. But you trade with this super like really often, considering it's a panic super. It's not roaming. You know, it's not like bottom tree strike or whatever, right? You have the initial smash, and then you can keep running and still have a really good roaming super after. The Nova Bomb is like, it's just the Nova Bomb, and it has like no armor, and the radius isn't all that big either. So I think they should make the radius a little bit bigger, and definitely increase the armor so that it's not so easy for people to trade with it, because you know, while you're activating it, you kind of standing still, just floating and chilling, and it's like a whole 1 to 2 second activation, and pretty much everyone shotgun melees you in that time, or you're already weak before you activate it because you run around the corner, and whatnot. So I definitely think that that needs to change. The next thing are the grenades, which are also really bad. Axion bolts are pretty much like if you got Axion bolts from Destiny 1, and then you still had the same bug where like people could slide and make it so they barely take any damage, but this time they're like half the speed. And I'm pretty sure, actually I'm not too sure about the radius of the grenade. I still think the radius is pretty good, but the problem is that they're just so pathetically slow that they don't even provide any sort of like, there's no like, you know, like urgency, right? Like before you used to be able to get people to run, like you could get someone weak, and then when they'd hide, the way that you could get them to slide back out is by throwing an Axion bolt there. But now it's like they're so pathetically slow that they don't really even provide any you know, urgency, or they don't get people to move, and they never ever catch up to people. And then obviously you have like scatter grenades and the void grenade, but those aren't all that great either. So I think that the Axion bolts, at least, if they're trying to make that kind of like the premier grenade choice, I think should track a lot faster than they currently do, considering that a lot of other grenades are really good right now, like lightning grenades, arc bolt grenades, etc. So yeah, that's what I think about Axion bolts. Obviously Devour works really well, and it's one of those perks that's really good for looking amazing in certain clips when you go on like a crazy spree in Control, when you have like you pop Devour, and then maybe you get like Memento or whatever, right? And you start feeding and absolutely destroying people. So it does work really well sometimes, but it doesn't work often enough to really warrant like using the subclass and making it a really good subclass. So I still feel like if they buffed the other things that I mentioned earlier, Devour would still kind of be like a strong part of its kit. But it's not subclass like defining currently, to the point where it's like it carries the subclass and makes it really good. It also uses a grenade, obviously, and at least in like sweats and competitive play, grenades are really important. So if you're eating up a grenade to perform that ability, obviously it has you know, repercussions and little side effects because you lose your grenade, but nonetheless it is still obviously like a really good ability. One of my biggest problems with Destiny 2 as far as Warlocks goes has always been that the melees are really bad. In Destiny 1 they had, I believe, the slowest melee speed, but they made up for it obviously with the range of their melee, and additionally a lot of the charged melees, right, when you have your melee energy fully charged, they were not very good. Specifically, if anyone remembers, actually let me take that back, because Stormcaller was really good, and the charged Sunsinger one was very good, but the Voidwalker one, if people remember, I mean, they don't have to remember because it's still in this game. it's like bugged to the point where it's like, if you look at the melee animation when it's charged versus when it's not charged, they're different. And for some reason with the charged one, it has a very high tendency to do the thing where you melee someone, it locks onto them, but it doesn't do any damage. So that's not a good trait of their melee. And also, they obviously, so like I said, they have the longest melee range, but the slowest melee speed. Now, in Destiny 2, they made it so that all of the melees are the same exact range. So now the only thing really that matters is damage and speed, which they're pretty much, severely lacking in that department. So they went from having like the best melee to specifically Voidwalker having a melee that's like garbage. So that is one specific thing I was kind of curious on, if people would be open to the extended Warlock melee range coming back in Destiny 2, perhaps with Shadowkeep. Obviously, if not, that's all cool. And pretty much, long story short, I think Voidwalker kind of sucks right now compared to other subclasses. The main thing is that Axiom Bolts are garbage, and that the super is just super fragile, even though all the other supers in the game, pretty much that aren't panic supers, are like ridiculously strong. So if you're only getting a chance to pop it once in a little panic situation when people have to be right next to each other, I think that it needs a little bit more armor so that people can't trade with it over and over and over again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your opinions are in the comment section down below, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.